So, the lifestyle component that I like to emphasize in support of the theme of safety is sleep. Sleep is sleep the is where we actually return to the ground of being every night. So that even if we're someone who has a hard time ever doing that while we're awake, a part of us arrives there when we sleep. There's so much to be said about this, both through science and through ancient traditions that talk about what happens when we sleep in more beautiful, mythical, and mystical ways. Even something, for example, like Five Elements that talks about us sort of different organs, spirits going out of the body or resting in different ways. There's um, there's a kind of disembodiment that unifies us with something greater, and allows us to be made new so that when we come fully back consciously into our body in a particular way, we've had the chance for some metabolizing of whatever we've gone through the day before or even weeks before, and to have more coherence that's happening without our effort, conscious effort at all. It's happening automatically. And unfortunately, in our world today, sleep is disrupted for a lot of reasons. We've lost our connection with our circadian rhythm. Our bodies, which are ancient, beautiful biological creatures that are still connected to earth and natural rhythms, get confused, for example, when we are looking at screens after dark, or when we are working or being active during a time when our bodies and cells are meant to be regenerating and rejuvenating. And I can say for myself, I really did not realize. I mean, I knew how foundational sleep was, but I would say one of the worst things about the illness that I suffered through for a few years, and in particular for several months immediately at the onset of it, was that my sleep was completely dysregulated to the point where I couldn't count on getting sometimes even an hour of sleep. It would sometimes take a few days in order to get sleep, and the sleep was so choppy um and it was like, gasping for oxygen, um in the realm of getting what is needed to happen in the body at the level of sleep. And in fact, to the point where now all of the practices, and I have many of them that are part of my life, that build my health, that are part of why, for me, not only am I recovery from, I'm no longer chronically sick, but I'm also sort of, you could say, reversing my biological age, which I'm totally pro aging in the way that it's meant to happen. Like, age is not a bad thing, but in the way that it has happened in terms of our cells losing their resilience and vitality much quicker due to modern things that are not actually natural for us, that are part of our everyday life these days. It is possible to, um, it's actually possible to step outside of that, not fully, but to carve out and create habits and lifestyle practices so that there's some buffer and resilience and buoy, so that we can actually age really gracefully and with a lot of lucidity and strength, and not have a poor quality of life in our later years. And so for me, what I was going to share about that is that I have a lot of practices that are helping me with that process. And the very central foundation of all of it is sleep. It's really the thing that guides everything else. Getting a good quality night's sleep allows me to have the capacity to practice the things I need to do every morning, every day, every evening, to keep the rhythms and the cycle of safety, and the rhythms and the cycle of rejuvenation, and to really grow the soil of my life, right? Because as we know, what is there's a parable about dropping a seed on fertile ground versus not fertile ground. I mean, the difference is you can have the most amazing seed, the most amazing plants that you want to grow as a metaphor for anything you want to grow in your life. And if you put it in poor soil, nothing. I don't care how good a quality the seed is, but if you put it in fertile soil, that is going to create deep roots, deep mineralization, deep capacity to grow, resilience of the plant, longevity, sustainability, legacy, all the beautiful things that come from having a really strong and healthy foundation. And this nervous system work, by the way, is very much about building the soil of our body and being, so that the seeds we plant in our life can actually have much more, take hold much more deeply and have much more success. And so even though it can be challenging at times to slow down and be like, I have to build safety, what? I am ready to go. It's like, well, in my experience, that true blossoming happens without burnout when we tend to the soil, create those really perfect conditions. And so it's worth slowing down and taking the time to build the soil. And so for me, a very practical lifestyle approach to building my soil and my life is to protect my sleep. And there's lots of ways that can be shot, depending on your particular situation. But some basic things to keep in mind are that our deepest and best quality sleep are actually before midnight, between the hours of 10 and midnight. And so going to bed earlier and following more of the sun's rhythms is a really healthy choice. Even if you need to sleep a less amount of hours and get up really early versus sleeping a longer amount of hours, but not starting until like midnight, it's really important to protect certain times when our bodies are designed to be in their full let down, full automatic processing mode and not override that. And if there's a hard time falling asleep, there's definitely a lot of things you can also do in terms of cultivating an environment that helps the melatonin. And everything literally in your health is going to be related to this, including the nervous system things of your thoughts and your dysregulation, how regulated you are, also what you eat and what supplements you might be taking. But a simple way that you can just help shift your environment to begin to feel a sense of safety and to give the cues of relaxing and parasympathetic down regulation and all of that happy melatonin production, which is about much more than sleep, by the way. It's the very master hormone that's like opposite to cortisol and works in tandem with it, like as a twin, but is to get some low lights in your house so that once it's dark, your eyes start to be more like you're in a cave, or maybe just candlelight, or I like to use salt lamps or red lights. For example, there's bulbs you can buy that are like blue light free amber lights. But to kind of start to give in the same way that orientation in the environment helps regulate, is because it's like, oh, my nervous system wants to know what time of day it is, not just that I'm safe, but it also wants to understand what's going on. And we are connected to these planetary rhythms. We are connected to the rhythm of the sun and the moon and the light and the dark. And so we don't want to stray too far in our human world from those rhythms. And because we have for a while, sometimes it takes consistent practices and doing some very simple things to start to remind our bodies. One of that is having the lights dim. One of that's also having electronics turned off by a certain time, not in the same room where we're sleeping. And then another is to do an activity that takes you away from focus. So maybe not reading. Sometimes reading can be relaxing for people. Sometimes it is for me. I do read sometimes at bed, but not working, not trying to get something done, not having a hard conversation with somebody that upregulates you or gets your heart rate going, but doing something that starts to, like, I take my glasses off, for example, like let myself be in a more of a receptive state and less of a focused state. I like to take baths with Epsom salts You might use sensory oils, you might use a foam roller, you might do some yoga, or you might roll around, you might lie on a warm mat, you might take a hot sauna or a hot tub. You might play a simple game with your kids or tell bedtime stories. There might be still connection and oxytocin activities going on. You might snuggle with your lover, with your dog or cat. But you're coming into a place of more nourishing and receptive activities. Maybe you're coloring. You could even do some journaling. Um, as long as it's like journaling that is more just unburdening yourself versus trying to solve a problem per se. But you get the picture that it's more of a allowing and a releasing. So you're already starting that process while you're awake. So that by the time that you turn the light off and you're all cozy in your bed, your body just knows, like, yeah, like we've been headed here and now it's time to just take it a level deeper and completely let go, and yeah. So sleep. And of course, if you are interested in getting some coaching around how to, I don't really like the word hack biosync, but hack by work with your situation and whatever blockages are coming up for you around getting good quality sleep. Feel free to book a session with me, give a call. And of course, we are implementing this as part of our practice in our body and soul sanctuary community together, our nourishing place of co-practice. And yeah, feel free to share any comments with me below if you'd like about this habit of sleep and cultivating healthy, deep sleep. And wishing you the most nourishing rest tonight.